I welcome you all back to the session. So in today's session we will be discussing modified V model. So this is the last model of your life cycle models under software development life cycle. So you have learned V model. So under V model it focuses on types of testing, but modified V model focuses on phases of testing. So as you can see in the diagram, so you have many phases of testing. So and it also has entry criteria and exit criteria. So entry criteria and exit criteria is nothing but you have to meet those specific criteria to perform some specific testing. So for example, to perform your unit testing, you must reach the entry criteria, which is nothing but you have to finish off all the coding part, then only you can enter into the phase of unit testing. So that becomes the entry criteria for the unit testing, and the exit criteria is like it should meet all the requirements under for the unit testing. So it should fulfill all the necessary expected results. It should be fulfilled. Then only you can exit from the unit testing and then move on to the next testing, which is component testing. So let us see one by one. So as the V model focuses on the types of testing, so your modified V model focuses on the phases of testing. So these phases of testing are related to one to one. So there is one-to-one mapping to the type of testing. So for example, unit testing phase and then component testing phase, etc. So once your unit has been completed, its unit testing phases, then it becomes the part of the component and then moves on to the component testing. So as I have told, once you finish your unit testing phase, then only you can move that part to the component, and then it becomes the part of component testing now. Then here the different phases are done in parallel. So you will be performing the different phases in parallel. And then so entry and exit criteria for each phase are to make sure that the right quality of product is delivered for starting the test, and the right amount of testing is completed to release. So as I have told the entry criteria for unit testing, so here you need to make sure that right quality of product is delivered for starting the test and right amount of testing is completed to get the exit criteria. Nothing but so once you finish the right amount of testing, so then the testing is completed for the unit testing phase, and then it goes on to the release of the next phase, which is nothing but your component testing. So now let us see what is white box testing. So white box testing is nothing but your software testing method. So so basically white box testing focuses on the internal structure and your design and implementation of the item which is being tested is known to the tester. So once you know the internal part, and then once you know the implementation part and design part, so then only you can do the white box testing. Nothing but you will be exposed to the coding part. And then so white box testing is also called as in clear box testing, open box testing, glass box testing, and transparent box testing, code based testing, and also called as structural testing. So white box testing is called in so many other names. Okay, so this is an overview of white box testing. So let us see in detail what is white box testing and why we do the white box testing. So actually the program code when truly represent what the program actually does and not just what is intended to do. So it focuses on the entire program than the actually what it has to be done. And it minimizes the delay between the defect injection and the defect detection. So sometime what happened, so it minimizes the delays of making errors also. So sometime if you don't perform white box testing, so there are a lot of chances when you go to the production or black box testing, so there you may face so many errors or bugs. So here you can catch the programming errors and do the necessary steps or fix those errors which you got in the white box testing, and then go ahead with the next type of testings. So white box testing is also called as in clear box testing. So it is called with many other names. So now let us see the classification of white box testing. So white box testing is divided into two parts. First one is static testing and the next one is structural testing. So let us see what is static testing now. So static testing actually involves, it is a type of testing which requires only the source code of the product but not the binaries or executable files, and it does not involve the executing the program on machine, but rather than human goes and checks the program thoroughly, and he can also uses the specialized tools. And some of the things which are tested by the static testing are, you test whether the code works according to the functional requirement which is given by the customer or not, and you also test whether the code has been written in accordance with the designed and developed earlier in the project development life cycle. So you just check whether the code is developed in a specific programming language which you have decided before, and you also check the whether it is meeting all the requirements which you have defined in your SRS document or not, and you also check whether the code follows all the applicable standards. So you need to follow all the code standards. So here you test your code is meeting all the applicable standards or not, and you also check whether the code for any functionality has been missed out or not. So if any functionality is missed out, you can fix it in this stage itself, and you also check whether the code handles the errors properly or not. So these are the some of the static testing points. So let us see in detail. So there are multiple methods to achieve static testing. So static testing by humans. So what happens, human can find errors that the computer cannot sometimes. So you do the testing manually and then you focus on each and every line and test. And multiple human can provide multiple perspective. So for example, if there are 2-3 people involved in doing the static testing, so the different person will view the code in a different perspective, so that there are more chances of getting the errors or identifying the errors or bugs. And a human evaluation can compare the code against the specification more thoroughly, and it also detect multiple defects at one go, and it also reduces the downstream and inline pressure also. So next one is desk checking of the code. So here what happens, there is no structured method for this, or any no formalism is required to ensure the completeness, and here in desk checking no log or checklist is maintained. So it basically relies only on the thoroughness of the author who has written it. So next one is code walkthrough. So it is basically group oriented task, and then it brings the multiple perspective. So as it is a group oriented task, so there are multiple people or a group involved in testing it or going and checking the code thoroughly. So it brings the multiple perspective so that we can identify the more number of bugs, or and we can also fix it at this moment. So multiple specific roles are there in this. So authors, moderators, and then inspectors, etc. So next one is code inspection. So this is also a group oriented activity. So it is highly formal and structured and has specific roles and requires thorough preparation. So while you do the code inspection, you require thorough preparation for it. So next, let us see. What is structural testing? So structural testing takes into an account of code and then code structure and the internal structure or internal design and how they are coded. So for example, take an example of your database schema or your whole database system. So wherein you are exposed to see what are all the database tables in it, and then what are all the table names, what are the attributes, what is the data type of each table, what is the schema constraint, or what is the relationship between the tables. So all these you consider in the structural testing. And also there are multiple methods to achieve static testing. So under this you have first one is unit or code functional testing. So nothing but here what you do is, it is an initial check. So initially the developer will quickly check what he has written, and so in this there are more chances of getting an error or whatever mistakes you have done in coding. So you will get that and you will remove it at this point. So it is done before more extensive checks. So before further going into the extensive checks or extensive testing, so here you do the unit or code functional testing. And then so it runs through an IDE. So this at this stage it can be debugging or testing. So it doesn't matter, but you have to do it compulsorily. Next one is code coverage testing. So it is basically an exercise of different parts of code. So you will be covering all the modules of your project, and then it maps the parts of a code to required functionality. So it has the different modules, so it maps each code to the specific module and the functionality. So it finds out the percentage of the code covered by the instrumentation. So here it can also help identifying the critical portion of the code and then execute it often. So there are also types of code coverage. So as you saw in the diagram, so statement coverage, and then path coverage, and condition coverage, and function coverage. So these are all the structural testing and the static testing methods. So let us move on to challenges in white box testing. So there are many challenges in white box testing. So as it is very complex and expensive procedure which requires the professional to be involved completely into it, and it also needs the expertise in the programming and understanding the internal structure of the code. And so once it also needs the updated test scripts required when the implementation is changing too often. So for example, you are changing your implementation, but at the same time you again have to go back to your test script and update the test script according to the changes you have done. And so the exhaustive testing becomes even more complex using the white box testing method if the application is of large size. So if your application is of large size, the testing is becoming exhaustive, and it becomes even more complex to do the white box testing. And some conditions might be untested, because sometimes you may miss some part of the testing which is not actually realistic to test every single one. So you cannot test every single part of the code, so that becomes you are not covering the realistic scenarios. So these are all some of the challenges of white box testing. So thank you students. So next session we will be starting up with the black box testing. Thank you.